Good morning, students. Today we are going to study the second poem of the book Flamingo, an elementary school classroom in a slum by Stephen Spender. Something about the poet first. Stephen Spender was a poet, an English essayist, and he has taken a keen interest in the politics, and so he declared himself as a socialist and pacifist. His works concentrated on the themes of social injustice and class inequality, and he talks of denial of opportunities to slum dwellers, and also expresses his thoughts on the widening gap between the rich and the poor, which has been beautifully highlighted in this poem. He somewhere or the other seems to be hitting hard at the capitalist economy, which helps the rich to get richer and richer, and poor becoming poorer and poorer. Some introduction about the poem. The poem is written by Stephen Spender, describes the social inequalities which are prevailing in the society. In the poem, he describes the condition of the students of an elementary school which is situated in a slum area. The poet wants to draw the attention of everyone towards these kids so that their life can be improved and they may get trained to become good citizens rather than criminals. Children studying in this slum classroom depict the social injustice and perpetual poverty prevailing among the slum dwellers. We start with the explanation of the poem, that is stanza 1. Far, far from gusty waves these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round at pallor, the tall girl with a weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At the back of the dim classroom, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. In the first stanza, Spender describes the miserable condition of the children. The faces of these children are unlike the usual children of schools. Instead of being exuberant and energetic, they are like rootless weeds and withered and worn out. They are unclean and untidy. They are like the hair spread all around their faces. And now far, far from gusty waves means that is they are far away from the outside exposure of this world. Strong winds, strong waves, and they are far away from that. These children's faces have been compared to rootless weeds and the hair spread all over their face. Now he goes on to describe 4 students in the class. The tall girl with a weighed down head, she stands with her head down. It seems as if she is mentally and physically exhausted and whole life has been sapped out of her. The paper-seeming boy, lean and thin and undernourished, malnourished boy, with rat's eyes, inquisitive eyes, greedy eyes, hungry. The third student is the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bone. Heir means why this boy has been considered to unlucky heir because he has inherited a disease of twisted bones from his father. He sits on his desk and recites his lesson. He has a twisted bones disease, that is knotted bones, and is not able to move. His growth is stunted. He is not able to move from one place to another. So he sits on his desk and recites his lesson. And at the back of the dim classroom, one unnoted young and sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream. There is one boy who stands there at the back of the dim classroom. Classroom is not brightly lit. It sits at the back of the dim classroom, and in the class, he's not interested in what is going on in the class. His eyes live in a dream. He sees the squirrel game going up and down the tree room. He is not in the although he is physically present in the class, but he is more interested in the game. That is, the squirrel is playing outside there in the garden there, and it sees the squirrel going up and down the tree. Now the difficult words used in this paragraph or stanza are gusty waves, breezy winds, pallor is dull face, stunted not fully grown, gnarled is knotted rough, Weeds is unwanted plants that grow on their own. Paper seeming boy, very thin boy. And it is hair is successor. Now the literary devices used here in this stanza are simile, children compared with rootless wheat, that is like rootless wheat. Metaphor, boy is compared with paper as he is thin paper seeming boy. Repetition, use of far to stress on the distance. We go on to the next stanza. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities, bell, flowery Tyrolese valley, open-handed map, awarding the world its world. And yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, where all their futures painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes and stars of words. Now why these walls are cream walls? Because they have not been painted since long, and it is describing, in this stanza it describes the condition of the classroom. On the walls they are dull because they have not been painted since long, and the walls are displayed the names of the people who have given donations. The head of the Shakespeare head is displayed in the clear background of the sky. Walls have pictures of beautiful Tyrolese valley, that is valley of flowers, that is there, and it also has a map of the world. These children's eyes can only view, like these children have never seen all these things that have been put up there. The map of the world is not their world. This seems to be open-handed map. This is the world of the rich people, those who have made it. Like these children, these people have got no say in this world because this world does not belong to them. This map, not this map. These windows, not this map, their world. So according to the poet, this map of the world is not their world. Their world is just one window that is there in the classroom, where all their futures painted with a fog. That is, there is no brightness in their life is dull, bleak world. And this window also leads to a narrow street that is covered with lead sky, that is all full of pollution, no bright sun, they never get to see blue sky. Far, far from rivers, capes and stars of words. They have got no exposure to the outside world. They are only in the four walls of these classrooms, and they have never seen any rivers, capes or stars of words, means the heroes, the literary heroes. The difficult words used in this stanza are, you can see, sour, donations, dawn, civilized dome, Tyrolese valley, sealed and lead, capes. You can read the meaning from here. Metaphor, now the literary devices used in this. Metaphor is the first. Walls are described to be dull as sour cream walls. Then we have the future of the kids is described as limited, narrow streets sealed with a lead sky. Next is assonance, repetition of vowel sound, that is E, belled, flowery, Tyrolese valley. Allusion is reference to a well-known person or place. It's a Shakespeare head and Tyrolese valley. Repetition of far, far is there. We come to the third stanza. In the third stanza, the pensive poet suddenly turns aggressive and feels that Shakespeare is wicked. Now Shakespeare is wicked. This is actually the antithesis here in this world. It is a figure of speech that can be seen as oxymoron. That is, Shakespeare is wicked. Why he calls Shakespeare wicked? Because the kind of the picture of the world that Shakespeare is depicted in this poem, it is definitely not their world, because he has only talked about the rich people. He has never talked about ordinary people. Map is a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to see. Why map is a bad example? Because this map of the world is not their world, because their world is just one window where they stay. Because all these pictures, they give them a false hope, an illusion of the progressive world. This is because these pictures mislead the children. He shows them all these things through these pictures. This is not the real world of them. Rather, they are tempted. Rather, these children are tempted to steal these things, because these colorful pictures that are there around the classroom, all these things instigate them to steal and try to escape from their cramped holes. Their existence is indeed very sad. Now, this will turn their lives from fog to endless night, because if they will get into the habit of stealing, they will be branded as thieves and will be put behind the bars. On their slag heaps, these emaciated children are so thin that even their bones can be counted through this skin, and the spectacles they are wearing have glass which has been broken and mended. Their entire appearance reeks of their deprivation. The poet shows his outrage by suggesting that the map on their walls should show huge slums instead of beautiful scenic graphics. Note, he wants to say that this map of the world, on the map of this world, this foggy slum is like a big blot on their map. This is a kind of a big blot on the map of the world of the rich people, created by rich people. Now, difficult words and literary devices we talk about. Wicked means evil. Tempted means they are lured, persuaded. Slyly means very cleverly. Crammed is confined. Slag is weak. Mended, repaired. Blot, to mark with a spot. And doom is disaster. Metaphor is their homes are like small like crammed holes. This is crammed holes. Similarly, their repaired spectacles like bottle bits on stone. Alliteration, F sound has been used again, that is from form. Now we come to the explanation of the last stanza. Finally, in this stanza, the poet reveals the appalling truth that there can be no change for the better unless governor, school inspector, or an educationist or a visitor comes to the school and make an attempt to provide these children also with good quality education. Education not in the school just in the name of education, but real education, good standard quality education should be provided to them. The map in their classroom should become their world. The window, he says, this map becomes their window. Till now, this window is their map, right? He wants that the map of the world should become their window that shuts upon their life like catacombs. They are living in cramped holes. They have got no outside exposure. The poet wants that these children should be given good quality education. They should be allowed to come out, have free hand exploration, break till they break the town. Let them break the walls of the classroom. Let them break the walls of the town and move around the place. If they are talking about green fields, show them the green fields. If you are talking about the azure sand, make them walk on the golden sand, and let their tongues run naked into books. Give them good quality education. He wants that these children should also be allowed to live a life where they can explore things on their own. And he says, give them, let their tongues run naked into book. Give them the power of expression. Give them good quality education. And even these children have the brightness of the sun. And even they can create history and shine like sun. Education given, any education without opportunity is a waste. So he wants that sufficient opportunity should be given to these children also, so that even they can create history, because education has the power to overcome all the obstacles that are there in the path of their progress. The poet earnestly desires that each and every child should be able to enjoy the fundamental right to education, and they should have access to all kinds of books, new as well as old. They should also be able to learn from nature around them. This poet ends the poem on a positive note as he expresses his belief that people who are ignited by the spirit of knowledge and learning are the ones who create history. It is a moral liability of everyone to break barriers between the haves and the have-nots and give meaningful education to all. For history remembers only those people who are educated and have enlightened themselves for a better world. Now, the difficult words and literary devices used in this stanza: catacombs, symmetry. Catacombs are tombs, symmetry. Azure is deep blue. Metaphor, books and nature are expressed in form of white and green leaves. The white green leaves open. Anaphora, use of repeated words in the two consecutive lines, run azure and run naked. Thank you, children.